Time flies, man. We already finished an hour. I just realized we finished an hour, and I guess it's a very interesting topic. So time just like went right by. So anyway, so Hashim and Selma will join shortly, so we can continue our interesting conversation about marriage. This is part two, and hopefully we'll probably close it out and start doing questions and answers, inshallah. All right. Yes, they're joining shortly, so all right, here we go. Yeah, I forgot. Like, it's been an hour. Can you believe it? Like,
I cannot believe it.
So my second point was, one was, like always, if something's bothering you, talk to your husband about it, especially because men are clueless. They don't know anything. They don't know that they don't even know that they did anything wrong.
right.
The second one, what you were saying.
You have to emphasize that. Like sisters, if you have a problem, let the man know. Because he's not going to know. And that's just how we are. Allah made us that way. So, communication.
But Allah also made the sisters not, they live within themselves. Like, they don't communicate. Like, that's not all of them. Actually, I have a few sisters that communicate, but a lot of sisters don't communicate. Like, Azza has that problem too. It's not a problem. It's just who she is. And I make it my job to get the information out of her. You can read body language, right? They communicate body language wise, right? And you just have to go in and just be like, look, man, you could tell me anything. It's okay. I know there's something wrong. And I try to guess sometimes until I get her to say whatever it is. And it's okay. But definitely, like you said, Hashim, you don't want to be boiling inside and you keep adding to the stuff, and then one day you come and you're like, look, I want a divorce, or like, I want to. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on? You did this on Tuesday the 15th. You did that, and then because women remember stuff. They like remember dates. They remember emotions. They remember things that will just if they don't talk it out. And this is a message to sisters, I guess. Because if they don't talk it out, then it's just gonna stay in your head, and you're gonna remember it. Like don't even act like you're not gonna remember it. You will remember it, and then the next time you have an argument, you're gonna bring that up from 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So
it takes two to tango. So it takes like we both sides need to communicate, and if there's no communication happening, both sides need to figure out like, okay, how am I going to start this communication? And perhaps it starts with an apology. And guys, we are allowed to apologize even if we don't know what we did wrong or if we did wrong.
Right.
That's just part
even
of
if you don't believe they did something wrong, you should still apologize.
Put your ego aside.
Yeah, no, ego is out of the question. Yeah.
The other one was not involving anyone, and that's crucial to the relationship. I remember I told you this before we got married.
So Selma grew up in Sudan, and so we're Sudanese, so we'll talk about Sudan. But I'm sure like a lot of other countries are just like this. But we'll talk about what we know. Like Selma actually grew up many years in Sudan, more than half her life. 17 years. I have never lived there, but I've been there. And so, like in Sudan, as with many other countries, rumors or news spreads like wildfire. I mean, if you tell one person, then your whole family's going to know about it. So, like, just keep it between you and her, and that's it. With anything. I mean,
and it's just always kind of, like, even though, I talk to people, I'm a social person, I talk to people all the time. But when it comes to that, I am convinced that no one should be involved in the relationship. I don't know who taught me this, maybe my mom many, many years ago, but I've just always known that your issues stays between you. Because the moment you involve someone else, and like you said, not your mom, not my mom, not your sister, even, no one. Because the minute you involve someone, they're going to give you an opinion that probably doesn't work best. I'm sure most people would have your best, they try to do what's best for you and they give you advice, but they don't really know your relationship like that. Only you know the relationship you have with your husband, only you know the relationship you have with your wife. And once you involve someone, they're going to give you their perspective, but it doesn't always match the relationship that you guys have, and that could only be dangerous, leading to like bigger things.
I guess what we mean, we should clarify. Like, when we say don't talk to other people about your relationship, this is like the day-to-day stuff, the miniature glitches that we have, or small problems that we have. There's got to be you know, with some marriages, for example, there might be a point where, like, you've communicated or you tried to communicate and nothing's budging, and
Right.
you need help. Like seek help if you need help, but don't seek help for everything. Don't
And
seek help because you put
yeah,
salt in the food.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Right.
So,
And you don't seek help. You don't seek help from people that they're not wise. Like you have to seek help from somebody who's wise. Obviously, a counselor is the best because that's their job. They know what they need. They know that they're gonna listen to the husband. They're gonna listen to the wife. They know that what to listen for, and they can get a lot of information from what they ask, and they'll give you the right advice. But if you don't want to do that, obviously in places like Sudan or in the Middle East, sometimes you don't have that option. Then you need to look for somebody in the family who is wise, right? Somebody who's right, like somebody really wise, and then you go to them and you say, you know what? Here's the deal, and then that person better be listening to both of you, right? It cannot be one-sided, like Selma said.
right.
As soon as you go one-sided, there's injustice, right?
Yeah.
It's just instantly, and I've never encountered a problem till today that it was one-sided. It's always two-sided. Yes, maybe one side will be more than the other, but there is always something you could have done differently and better that could have made the situation better. And that's why listening to, and it's actually in the Quran, in the story of Sayyidina Dawood, when the two angels came to test him, and one of them said that I have 99 sheep, right? Or goats, I forgot. And another one said I have one, and he told me to give me his to make 100, right? And then as soon as he heard that guy, he ruled. He said that's just like miserly. Why does he, like, you know, he's gonna take like a 100 and you have nothing? But he didn't hear the other guy. Maybe the other guy borrowed from him 10, and he said, okay, if you give me this one back, we're even or something. Like, he just heard one-sided, and then they disappeared, right? He made a ruling based on one-sided, and that's like ABC, like, you know, like basically injustice, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very, very key, and I think that's one of the big, and this advice from me, like, it comes from Azza, mashallah. She's very principled. That was the first thing she did in our marriage, and she was like, look, whatever happens here stays here. It doesn't go out. I don't care. If we need help, we can discuss it, but and I have a big mouth. I socialize, I talk. I'm very relaxed usually. I don't think much before I say, but I've learned to. I still, you know, drop sometimes mistakes here and there, and you know, accidentally. But I've learned to, you know, to just keep it to myself. To try to push myself to not share more than. And obviously, even in my reflections, I share sometimes too much. Because I just feel like it should be out there. I'm okay with people learning so they could be better.
Education purposes.
Educational purposes, exactly. Educational purposes, exactly. One thing that I wanted to mention is the idea of not asking for your rights, but giving your right. People always, like, it seems like whenever there's a problem, I always see people like they like, how come my rights are not fulfilled? He's not doing this for me. Like, and then and I got even in 70 things, I got some sisters or brothers asking me they have problems, and they say, well, this is happening. And the first question to me is like, what are you doing? Like what are you doing to fix the situation? If I ask them, like, about you, what would they say, right? And a lot of times I discover people are just focused on themselves. They focus on what they want. They're not focused on their obligation. And the best analogy to put it is, like, imagine like the sun and the moon. Like, you only get back what you shine, right? You know, you only get back if the moon only reflects what the sun sends, right? So if, as a husband, if you're not happy, there's something being done wrong in your family, well, you're not shining enough light, right? You're not shining the light that's coming back to you, and that's why there is nothing coming back to you. You need to take the first step. You need to ask the question. Oh, Imam Sahib is on. Wow, hey, Imam Sahib, mashallah, dude. We should be dropping off and letting you in here, man. Jazakumullah khair, man. That's awesome. Dude, this is like great.
I think someone's gonna have a lot to say about this one. About, like,
go ahead, son.
About rights, right? Because, well, you could just take it away.
I mean, I've said this to him ever since, because I say to everyone, where I'm coming from, which like I said, I grew up in Sudan. I see the way that women are treated, and no, I'm not a feminist or anything, but I always say Islam gives women rights that no other religion or group of people or country or anyone gave before. And I don't know why my person.
We're
They,
fasting, we're thirsty.
maybe. So Islam gave women all the rights, but then the culture took it away from them. Women, I feel like the problem is not that women are not giving their rights, but women don't know their rights.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people who I've been told this before many times, that they look at me, and that's after I grew up, like, I'm 17, 18, 20, and they say, "Oh, you still don't know how to cook? How do you expect to get married? Am I getting married to cook? Well, in that case, I don't want to get married.
Yeah.
Like, this church didn't pick me from marriage like that, and now I'm just gonna think that I never want to get married. If I'm only getting married to cook, to clean, to be just a housewife, maybe I don't want that.
Right.
So, and then you learn that that's not really what it is. You're not just you're not married to a cook. You could just go hire a cook and pay you.
Right.
Would be actually less expensive than the money you're putting in the wedding itself, but that's a point we'll get back to too. But rights, they don't know their rights, and that's the problem. They should be educated about their rights. And alhamdulillah, my dad did a great job. Like, he told us what our rights are. He told us what our obligations are, what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to get. And if it's not that case, then something is wrong. But I know that a lot of women just don't know that they deserve more than they're getting.
Right. No, I agree.
So,
I agree.
So, like, one example of many examples is the mahar, right? In order for the marriage to be valid, the man has to pay a mahar, according to what's reasonable, depending on whatever. Like, certain rights like this that are like in the Quran and in the Hadith need to be established, and then once they're established, then it goes to like what you said, like, we can start focusing on what is just between us, and we should stop. We should not only be focusing on ourselves, but we can only come to that place where we worry about each other's rights and each other's justice once we've established justice according to Allah's book.
Right.
Which is important because, I mean, Hashim was great, honestly. I gotta give you a shout out on this. Once it comes to really, like, being aware of how, like, I have rights too, and how we're supposed to ask permission sometimes. I mean, in Sudan, a man would never ask a woman's permission because that's just make him less of a man, which is not true. Rasulullah used to ask Aisha's permission just to get up and pray at night.
Dude, like, okay, so wahi is coming down from Allah, and the Prophet asks his wife, "Can I leave the bed to go pray?" Like, think about that. Wahi is coming down. Quran is going to come down, and he has. And
that's the best man ever lived. So no, you're not less of a man if you ask your wife permission to do certain things. And that's what sometimes leads to problems, because sometimes women don't really like we want time too, like, you gotta give us your time. And if you're not doing that, and then at the same time not even asking permission to do what you're doing, to watch your soccer game, then I'm gonna get upset, and that could only lead to me.
Okay, so real quick,
no, that makes sense.
Our voice is not very clear, or is that all of us?
I think it's your voice. For you, your voice is a little bit squeaky, but I'm hearing it. I'm still hearing it okay because I have my headset. I think but it's not as sharp. There's a little squeakiness to it, but.
I'm just a squeaky person. That's all.
Yeah. I think
maybe just I don't know. I'll try better.
I think Selma a little bit more, but
it's all you.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. I think we can still hear it. I guess the rights, obviously, we need to go by what Allah, whatever the Quran says. Like, I think this is the foundation of everything. Whatever in Islam, like, whatever Allah says, that's the foundation. I think my worry is, if to play the devil's advocate, to go on the other extreme is, I think now with the women's rights and the movement is, like, yesterday I was talking to somebody at work on Friday, and he was saying that eventually men would need to start, we need to enable men so they can become pregnant and have a baby because it's fair, right? Like that's where the extreme is, right? It's like we're trying to equalize men and women in everything, right? Like where they're the same, but they're not the same. Like in Islamically, we know we're not the same, right? Allah created us that way. Like He created the man. We're a little bit more, on the stronger side. We go out, we get ends, we work. That's like
I've
this
tried
is
giving birth many times and it doesn't work, man.
right. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. Like where a man is gonna have a baby and so like that idea, like for me is very troublesome from an Islamic point of view, and I think that's where we need to kind of like bring, yes, there is a problem. There's no question about it, especially in a place like Sudan or in the Middle East. Women are treated like you said, like they're just cooks at the home or whatever, right? And that has to change, and I see it till today. But that's changing. The new generation, when I went the last couple of times, the youngsters, they don't see it that way. A lot of
youngsters are getting it.
They're getting it. Yeah, I mean,
they're
changing a lot, right? But the old school, there's still a few old school people. But the thing is that I want to say is that some women are happy with that role of being the home, like the home, person, right? And she's not interested in working. She wants to just be, raise the kids and be at home and take care of the home. My problem is that when we project our culture, which is in this case, American culture, to other cultures, and we want to force our ideologies to other people, right? Anybody, women in Africa, in Cameroon, polygamy is very popular and it works, and women are okay with it. Actually, like a woman, if she's married and when the husband says, "I want to marry a second," she's happy because first of all, the first wife is the boss of all the wives. And whoever comes next it's under her. She does what she wants, and she does it in the way that she wants it. Like it's a culture, and you can't come in. You cannot just be here from a leader in the women's movement here and going there and you tell them you have it all wrong, and you can educate, but you don't project your ideologies on other people, forcing your ideologies because you don't like the idea of being a home wife. And I want to be a CEO. Therefore, every woman wants to be a CEO. That's not true. Some women don't want to be a CEO. They're not even interested in being a CEO, right? And I think that's the other extreme, right? So, but you're right. At the end of the day, we need to go back to the Quran, whatever the Quran says, right? And the Quran has a clear, I think, understanding of the man's right, and it's expected that the man is going to be the one who's going to go out there and bring in the meat to provide for the family, right? And the woman is going to be the one who provides from the family, from educational, children, whatever. And this is the foundation. That's not necessarily has to be 100%. You might change the roles. It's fine. But that's an option that you have. But you cannot project that role in everybody. Everybody's different. We're all different, and we can do it however we want. But we cannot project our ideologies to other people, right? But naturally, from a naturalistic point of view, men are just more geared to go out there and bring the income, and women have more patience to deal with children. I cannot stay up at night. My son is just sick. My 5-year-old is sick, and Azza was up all night with him. Right? I swear I cannot do that. I cannot. I will die. Like the next week, I will get sick if I do that. If I stay up all night with my son, I will be sick for a week myself, right? I just don't know how to do that. I tried it and it never worked. I'm not saying other men can't do it. There is men who do it, and mashallah, may Allah bless them and protect them. But I know I can't. So like I think naturally we're both have our unique things that we're good at, and I think sometimes we try to force that into the other, right, because of our culture. What do you guys think?
So like one thing that the way I think of it is like this. So yesterday's video was about parenting, and Asada was talking about how like after she had kids and like she needed an outlet, so she decided to go back to work,
right
for the purpose of bettering herself. So that's perfectly okay,
right?
But Allah is not going to ask a woman, what did you provide for the family financially?
Right.
But he's
Right.
going to ask the man. So
Right.
it's okay like, if Selma's working. Okay, so but Allah is not going to charge that responsibility on Selma to work. If she wants to work, she can work. She's actually helping out a lot because we're kind of forced to live here in a Bay Area without her help. But that's not a responsibility placed on her by Allah. But my work and my contribution is something that I have to answer to Allah, right?
Right. Right.
And motherhood, I mean, I can't even like put words or describe motherhood. It's just something that you witness, right? I mean, no man out there, or no man I've ever met, is gonna catch a baby's vomit mid-air like a mother does. You know what I mean? Like there's certain strengths that mothers have that men just don't have. Allah places some things in a mother that we just don't have.
So romantic.
So we have to recognize what Allah put in each of us. We each have certain strengths and we each have weaknesses, and we have to work on our strengths. And sometimes Allah charges us with using those strengths. But it's also important to be somewhat well-rounded, you know, and we have to like be there for each other. And like I can't like we don't have kids yet, but like once we get kids, inshallah, I can't place the entire burden of you know parenting on her alone, and I'm just gonna go to work and then hang out with my friends after. That doesn't work that way, you know. So it's realizing what our responsibilities are and then helping each other with those responsibilities too.
Right, and I think, and this is something that Az and I agreed on. We agreed on the roles of men and women, like right when we started out, and that's one of the things that attracted me to begin with when we were having a conversation, and I realized we were in a line. Like, she believes in the same thing as that the men's role is to provide. She feels that whoever doesn't provide, like, there's just she doesn't look up to it. Like, she just has a problem with men who are like that, and the same thing for me. Like, I'm like, look, you know, anything at the home, like, that's your responsibility, but obviously we'll be helping each other. So right now, as obviously she's working too, and she's a teacher and she loves her job, and it really it's definitely that tension release for her, and obviously it becomes too much now. Like, if she does that, then like at home, like, she needs help and stuff. Obviously I don't help enough. I should, but I try, and I understand. And for me, like, anything's for me, like food and all these things are not important. Wallah, it's not. If you're going on a car ride, like if you go back to the example of we're going together to Jannah in this car, in this short journey, who cares what we eat? You know what I mean? Like we make these small things really a big deal. Like, what do you eat? Like, you know, what do you, like, look, it's not a big deal. Like, she might not cook for a week. I mean, she doesn't, but I'm okay with it. I could eat whatever. Like, seriously, I could eat whatever. But sometimes I crave stuff and I'm like, okay. Or sometimes I'll just I'm really good at making sandwiches and like little shortcut stuff. Like, and it's okay. So like, I think we make big deals out of stuff that's not important. A lot of times it's just not a big deal, right? And maybe for some person it's a big deal. Like some families, some cultures, food is huge. I mean, I know in the Desi culture, like, actually I had a colleague, they're not Muslim, but she said that she wakes up every day at 8 o'clock in the morning and she cooks fresh food every morning at 5.
Wow.
And they eat that day. That's the food they eat that day. And she makes it every morning. And I was like, wow, like, I was just floored. So much dedication, right? Like waking up every morning and then, you know, and cooking a fresh meal. I mean, that's just so much love, right? But then it's so much work. But she said they just don't eat out. Like, they don't know how to eat out. They don't like the food out. They never do. They don't eat something from the day before. They take whatever is left from the day before to lunch today. But and so anyway, so like, culture also has to do with it. But I
realize the bigger picture that we're heading towards Allah.
Right.
Whether we like it or we not. You know?
Right. So I guess in summary, it's two things. It's like, what's the bigger picture, like you said, and then also like projecting things to other people. Like, this is the problem I have. There was 7 billion of us, right? And every single family is different, man. Every person is different. Everybody has. I mean, I have a friend of mine who is, his wife, she's like a big like VP in a company, and he's the home wife, right? Or he's the home husband or whatever. And he takes care of the kids, he cooks, he does all this stuff. And he's happy, right? And it's like a beautiful family, and I love it. and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But then you can't, you know, I don't want, I mean, his wife can't go out there and tell all women, you have to do this.
Right.
Like, like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
if it works, it works, and if it, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else necessarily.
exactly, right? And the same thing is all the way around. You know, so that's the problem I have, is that people go and expect like everybody to be like them, and you know, like, you know, my grandma, like, she was happy cooking and just truly looking at if you ask my grandma, like, the way she looks at things of men and women, like, it's just messed up. It's wrong. It's like men are up here and women are like down here, right? That's the culture. I'm not, even if I try to convince her and educate her, she's not going to change. Like, she's already, right? Go ahead, Selma.
No, there are things that you need to change. And I know all of our habobas are probably the same way. You know, it's a cultural thing. But also, right now, there are few things that are still going on that should stop. And I try, like, I know sometimes, like, especially around, you know, older Sudanese people, they look at me and they're like, I'm just a little kid to them, that I don't know any better. I can't really do stuff. And one thing that I do, especially at home, like, just last night, we had a thought at my parents' house, and my dad was inviting this other family, and my mom, around Maghrib time, prepared the food and put everything on the table. And the ladies, who were my mom and this other lady, were in the kitchen for the last hour, while my dad and you and my brother-in-law were just sitting down on the couch, and they had their phones. And at one point, I had to come and take my dad's phone out of his hand. I'm like, you need to talk. You know, like, enough screen time, blah, blah. You put the phone aside and you talk to your sons-in-law. And while the ladies were in the kitchen, they cooked, they prepared the meal. That's perfectly fine. Then they came, Maghrib, you know, it was Maghrib time, and they came and sat on the couch, and they were waiting for the men to take the food. I was like, no.
You go first.
You go first.
You go first, yeah.
And then they were like, no, it's okay. I'm like, no. You go first. And I know you guys are older than me, and I can't really tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what to do now. You need to get up, and those kids need to be fed before even Maghrib, because none of them are fasting. It was perfectly fine. Just give them their food, and they were looking at me weird. No, my parents, you know, my family's used to it, but this other lady was looking at me weird. I'm like, no, you need to go eat first before the men. Men can wait. And then those are the things that you need to change. And then also, it was I have a 9 months pregnant sister, and she was just standing there and handing men the stuff. They were like, after they prayed, they would come every 2 minutes with, you know, another request. They want juice, or they want kisra, they want this, and they want that.
Right.
And my brother-in-law would just come and be like, oh, I want this, and she'd just get up and give it to them. And at one point I said, sit down. He came and he said, I want kisra, I believe. And I said, you sit down. Omar, you want kisra? It's right there. Go get it. And he was looking at me, and Ashley was like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. We're all adults, you know. Like, my mom prepared the food. The food is all ready. Men can handle that. They can get up and get their food. It's fine. You don't have to go hand it to them like a little kid.
No, I agree. I agree, and that's changing too. Alhamdulillah, I think that's changing. But just one little thing, Hashim, before you jump in, is just we have to be wise in who do we change, right? If somebody has the potential to change and we can see it, I think, because you could go to a grandma, right, who's doing this cultural stuff that's just completely wrong, and you could change her, but that might end up in a divorce, you know, because the husband is not going to get it. You know what I mean? And then I would ask, like, is that the best situation? It might be in some cases, right? It might be maybe she's just completely being abused, right? And she needs to just get out of that relationship, even though if she's 60 or whatever. But like, just sometimes, like, you need to just kind of weigh things out, and like to just make sure that there's a wisdom to things. But in your case, it's your family, right? And you need to,
and they're used to it.
drive this new the right thing. Like, we're always trying to do the right thing. And what you're doing is the right thing, and that's what matters, right? And as long as you explain it you know, and you say, look, man, that's not how the Prophet did it. That's not how. Why don't we get this culture? This is Sudanese culture that's wrong. That's based on dehumanizing women and putting men at a pedestal. This is not right. You know, we cook the food, we go first. Actually, ladies first. That's how it works anyway.
And kids
right?
are even before ladies. I guess
Right.
it's because I get upset sometimes in Sudan when they're like a big event going on and they prepare all this money and then men take it first. And the ladies who are tired and who are cooking it, they go next. And then I really get upset when I see the little kids starving to death, waiting for till women are free enough to service them.
Right.
And
Right.
it's not how it should be.
Right.
So just
But I don't go around in those big events and say these things.
No,
I
of course,
say to my
of course, of course.
to clarify, so we keep talking about Sudan because all three of us are from
Yeah.
Sudan. We feel comfortable to talk about Sudan. We do know that not all of Sudan is like this, right? There's so many differences in
Right.
beliefs and cultural systems and what. And I just don't feel comfortable talking about the country. I don't know. But anyway, to tie it back to marriage, I mean, or to tie this concept back to marriage, like we all need to be working together. You know, perhaps certain people are better at certain roles. Certain people have strengths in certain departments, but we all need to be working together to make sure that everybody's needs are being met and everybody's rights are being given, and there's justice between everybody. So overall, that's the whole point of this.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I think this
I
is.
know we jumped ahead. We talked about divorce. We talked about many things. But one thing that I can't pass this off to, I need to talk about this wedding and wedding expenses. And you know, once you found out by a person, now you're finally ready to settle down. You're ready to get married. And there are the expectations. There are what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, how big the event should be. And I feel like nowadays people in Sudan are just, again, we'll only talk about Sudan because that's the only country I know.
Well, so wedding expenses go a bit crazy everywhere. That I know, and even here.
Yeah,
even in the
right.
West,
It's worse. It's probably one of the worst places in Sudan. Is probably in the Middle East and India and all those places too. Actually, it's pretty
I've
crazy.
seen crazy stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But it's crazy because they like all they care about is they want a bigger wedding than their cousin. They want a bigger wedding than their friend. They want a bigger wedding than this random person that they saw that they had a big wedding. And it doesn't work like that. You need to know who you're getting married to. I mean, maybe they can afford that kind of wedding, but maybe they don't. You can't really put that pressure on them. That's why men are not getting married anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, they'd rather be single or you know just talk to women and convince them that they're going to get married too, but they won't because they can't afford it. And then that model too, and this is not just coming from the girls and the boys, it's also from the family. Like the father would expect his future son-in-law to pay the specific amount of money because his daughter is worth that much. But if you're gonna sell your daughter like that, then you are really selling her. So it becomes the husband's property, and then he could have the right to do whatever. Then
well, I'm not sure. So Selma says this because she said it to me before, like, I guess for the ladies. So this is coming from Selma. So if you expect a certain price for your wedding and a certain price for your mahar, that price may be achieved, but your husband will always look at you as that price tag.
Wow, that's deep, dude. Oh my God, I never thought of it this way, man. That's very deep, Selma.
This is coming from her. So
Wow.
So
that's very deep.
if you don't want to be treated like an object, don't set a price. I mean, so a mahar needs to be set. That needs to be.
but it's only the what you can afford.
Right. It needs to be reasonable.
Sorry about Mom, actually. Yeah. He doesn't know what the mahr was because he doesn't remember it anymore.
SubhanAllah.
And I am the only person in this universe that know what my mahr was. Not my parents, not my sisters. I haven't told a soul how much my mahr was, and he doesn't remember anymore. So I'm the only person alive who knows how much my mahr was. And it's no one's business. It's no one's business.
And so also, but the wedding and wedding expenses. The way I look at it is, like marriage in itself is like a big house, and the wedding is the front door. There's no point in getting like a shack made of hay with a golden door. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to spend 50,000 whatever on a wedding on one day, where you're putting your rest of your life in debt and putting your whole entire marriage in difficulty. I mean, a lot of the marriages that end in divorce happened because of financial difficulties. So why put yourself in that difficult position? There's no reason to get into debt. And if you think about it, men, we don't have this problem too much really, but I think according to the ladies, like the fancier the wedding gets, the more gossip there is about, oh, what kind of dress was she wearing? Take over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just for the ladies because I remember when we were getting married, it didn't go that way, and that's something you need to put in mind too, because it's like CR, his friend told me before, because I was really upset when around my wedding time because I wanted once it was we're setting the date and all that, and then my dad said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want an event in the masjid. And I want a little, like there are some apartment complexes that would have a little social room for like birthday parties and stuff like that. I was like, I want a place like that with only people I care about, like my sisters, my mom, a couple of my friends, all gonna be like 25 or less people, and it doesn't have to be a wedding dress. It doesn't have to be any of that, and I'll be set." And my dad was like, "That's the best thing you did." So yeah, I'm for that. And then my mom goes like, "Absolutely not. That's not happening."
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. I really wanted, and I got upset. And then his friend was telling me that your wedding is not for you. Your wedding is for your families, because that's how it's gonna be.
That's how it goes.
That's just how the culture is, I guess. But
that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, it's something that you put in mind. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be big. And if you're that person who wants it this way, I mean, you can dream it. It's fine. If you find someone who can provide that for you, that's also fine. If you save enough money yourself to make that wedding happen, you go for it. If this is your dream, but just think of it. It's not. It shouldn't be a big deal. Like just because your cousin or your friend or this random person had a big wedding doesn't mean that you should go and have a big wedding too. You can't afford it. And one thing about that is, I think what people don't realize is once you put that burden on husband, I want this fancy dress. And sometimes they don't even care about the dress. They don't care about the gold. They don't care about any of this. They care about the price, really. And I know what I'm not just saying that because I'm crazy. I know ladies like that. They care about the price. I don't care what my ring looks like. I care how much it costs me, so I can go brag about it to my friends and everyone else. And what they don't realize is when they put this pressure on the husband, I mean, the husband still wants to get married to you, and they do. But how are they going to do that if you want all these impossible requests?
Right.
They're going to go borrow the money from somewhere, max out their credit cards, get it, be in debt. The marriage will happen, you'll move in together, and then you realize after that your husband's in debt that is eating him alive because he's stressing out about it, how he's going to pay this. And now that stress would be on you too. And this is something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. So here's my advice to you. Don't make your husband get in debt.
Yeah.
That's your future husband because
and think about
it's not going to work out for you.
You have like option A where you get this crazy wedding with the huge expenses that both with spending money that you don't have, and then you for the next 5 years you pay off that debt, or you get a nice wedding. Like I had a friend who had a wedding at the masjid and they had like baklava and tea and sweets, and it was the best thing. And you get a decent wedding that costs reasonably, and then you get a really nice honeymoon, and you go to Hajj, and you get a nice apartment, and you get all that kind of stuff. Within the next 5 years. I mean, you have a choice. Either you go crazy in the wedding, or you go nice on your life.
Right.
I think option B is much better.
Somebody commented. I think it was Salama. Salama said that, but a lot of Sudanese people want to show off, and that's true. Actually, I mean, I have one of my sisters. She loves that stuff. Like, it's like who she is. She just loves the glamour and the being the bride. I mean, she's had that dream since she's young, and her first wedding was like that, and I was so mad. I was just not. I just felt it's a waste. But that's what she loves, right? And she ended up doing what she wanted, and it was a lot of money spent. But anyways, it didn't work out. The marriage didn't work out, and I personally feel like maybe that's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
That's one of the reasons.
because
it was more than
the
it was
women
more
can't
than
really
that.
handle that stress.
Right, right.
That but they're getting that stress because of the marriage expenses. I mean, especially in Sudan, there are a lot of marriages like that now, and I sometimes just sit down and wonder, like, but I thought Sudan is a third world country. How are they getting that much money, to do all this? It's crazy.
People have been lining up for bread, but they can afford a wedding that costs more than a
Yeah,
wedding here.
like
Right.
how? You
Yeah.
just ask yourself how.
Yeah,
Well,
it
the only
was,
logical reason is their debt. Just
no,
because
it is
people
true.
can't afford it.
So like she the second one, she still wanted to do something. It wasn't as big as the first one, but she still did something. It was only here. It wasn't in Sudan, and it was smaller, but it's still, I mean, it still spent more than what I would have suggested. But alhamdulillah, it worked out and things are great. But some people love it. Like you said, they have to be conscious. It's one day, and wallahi, unfortunately, some of our girls, they just all their teenage years, they're just dreaming because they keep going to these weddings, right? And we can't, like, they can't help it. They keep dreaming about the day that they're gonna be doing these things, and they start planning out, like, oh, when it's my wedding, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna come out in this song, and I'm gonna have my friends do it. And they just keep planning. And if you grow that seed in your mind for such a long time, you can't. I mean, like, you're exactly like Azza Salma. We had a simple wedding. We had actually a wedding that was only like, actually our wedding.
I gotta meet her. I
30.
couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. I mean, alhamdulillah, and I'm happy with my wedding, but I couldn't do it because everyone was involved and everybody wanted, like my mom, his family, everyone wanted. I mean, honestly, my dad was the only one taking my side. My dad was the only one who, like, do what you wanted to do.
Usually men don't care, so yeah.
And my dad always been that. I think I'm from my dad because my dad just keeps telling us these things that it doesn't matter. Like, it's only one day. Like you said, the bigger the wedding is, the more comments that you're gonna get. You cannot please everyone. You will never be able to please everyone. You have a simple wedding, you're basically shutting them up because they can't say anything. But then you have a bigger wedding, you're giving them a chance to comment on your hairdo, on your dress, on the food, the venue choice.
There'll be comments. It just
There will be comments. So if you don't want to hear all that, I mean, before I got married, there was this girl that got married before me, and she had a huge wedding, mashallah. And then I didn't go to the wedding, but then I've kept hearing about it for like a while. I was like, oh my God, they spent so much on that wedding. But then I didn't really like her dress. Oh my God, like this the kind of things like that just makes you like, yeah, I don't.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. So I guess that the lesson here is somebody mashallah wrote أقلهن مهرا أكثرهن بركة. That's true, right? It's beautiful. The less you spend in the mahar, the more blessing you'll get. And and also, like, I guess in conclusion is to obviously that the wise thing to do is not to spend, but at the same time, I think we also just, if you have a friend who's doing it and going through it, like, I think talking about it with them just one time to give them the idea. Some people, they just do it. Like, they'll just go ahead and spend all this money in marriage because they want to and because they have to, right? Like a lot of times it's the moms. It's not necessarily the girls or the husbands. It's the moms. It's the right, because it's a cultural thing. So you just have to understand that and accept it. I think. So I guess the two things that I want to point out is not necessarily judgment, but more like understanding the culture, understanding the pressures, and not making it worse. You kind of being supportive still. Just when possible, and because everybody's different, right? So, but you're right. It is definitely better.
And I do believe it's the cultural thing, like you said. They spend all their teenage years dreaming about this, and the reason why is because I feel like a lot of families, they would, like, the way a girl is growing up is her only purpose in life is to get married. So they would plan that idea in her head early on that this is, so that's why they keep dreaming about it, because they think that's the only thing they can do. And then once they reach a certain age, it's like, oh, I'm still looking at
too late. It's too late.
Yeah. Like, oh my, and like they say, I've got that thought, but it's not like that. I mean, like, you're probably not even mature enough by the age of 20. I think I got married young, and I got married at 22. I wasn't even planning on it, but it's a cultural thing, definitely. That people just, like, if women should have more, like, should be taught that, you know, like that's not really the purpose in life. Maybe for a man, you know, complete half your deen, but for ladies, um, it's there. It's sunnah and hayat. It's sunnah, and yes, you should be looking forward to it. But at the same time, there's so many things that you can do. You can read Quran, you can become a hafiz, you can go into all of those old programs.
It's like the men's, like
yourself, so you can educate the generation you're
right.
raising.
It's the same way men look at marriage. Women need to do the same thing. It's like men. What is a marriage to men? It's like they have a career, they build themselves, they do all this stuff, but then at the same time they want to get married. They want to find a partner that's going to help them go on that journey. And it's the same thing. Like for women, it should be the same thing. You should have your own goals. You should have your own plan, your own journey that you plan that you have for yourself, and then you look for the man that's going to help you go on that journey. And then the two of you just kind of meet, bam, you know. But you're right. Like I think the idea of like my goal in life is to get married, like that's just wrong. Like it should not be that.
If that's your goal, then your life ends at the wedding. Because then you go,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
It, right? But then
exactly.
you still have a whole life ahead of you. You know?
Right. That's
if you're not
that's a
prepared
good point.
enough to raise those kids, then like I don't even know. It doesn't go after that.
Okay, so just I'm gonna get some questions in because actually we're almost into the second hour. It's another hour went by. So I had some I had in I went to a halaqa one time and like it just men, and we were talking about marriage and then everybody gave marriage advice, and I kind of wrote it down. So I just wanted to like maybe share a few of them here. There's some of them are really nice. So the first one says respect their family all the time. So you must respect the families. That's advice. And the second one is to say sorry even if they're wrong. Keep everything private. We talked about that. A flower goes a long way, right? That's obviously for our sisters. They love flowers. Like, you know, as a man, if you can give flowers, even men love flowers, you know.
Flowers and chocolate.
Right? Flowers and chocolate.
Oh,
you can never go wrong with chocolate. You can never go wrong with flowers and chocolate.
A flower set that came with chocolate right there on the table.
Communication is key was one, and family meetings. Have a family meeting is beautiful too. We do those every once in a while. We do a family meeting where we discuss things, right? Where we just say, look, here's a few things that we want to talk about. You know, what's our goal for next year, or like whatever. Like have regular family meetings scheduled, and also having game nights. Maybe like when you have kids and stuff, you can start having good game nights and stuff like that. It's beautiful. And then be a role model. And the way to be a role model is to do it first before you ask, right? So be a role model. Spicing up the relationship, you know, by doing different things. Because after a while, the marriage just kind of gets into a routine. It gets a little boring. And so you have to spice it up, do something differently, change the way things are, right? Like don't always do the same thing. Try to push yourself to keep it interesting and exciting. In all aspects of life, you know, from food to where you sleep and the way you sleep. Maybe switch sides. Like you don't have to sleep on this side all the time. But if it's anything that kind of changes it makes it new and fresh.
One sentence about that. I mean, actually, what we realized is that with Selma and I, we both work. And what ended up happening was when we come home from work, we're tired and we just kind of lay on bed and watch TV, and that was going on like 5 days a week, every weekday, and that just wasn't working for us. So what we decided to do was like, every day of the week, we'll try to do something. Be like one Quran night, one game night, movie night, date night, or we go out for food or something. So every day, we'll try to do something different. And that way, we get some fresh air. You know? Oh,
beautiful, beautiful feedback right there. Somebody says, don't try to change your partner. That's beautiful. That's true. Like every person is unique, and you married them because there's certain things that you liked in them, but there's also things that you're going to discover about them that you're not going to like. Everybody has problems.
Marriage is about compromises.
Exactly, and you have to let go. Like you have to just know that this person is not good at that, you know, and just move on with your life and fix your problem, and it's okay, yeah, right? If you don't like something, like there's a hadith actually about that. Said if you don't like something in your spouse, well, there's other things that you like, so look at those basically. Yeah. Another advice is that dua goes a long way. So dua we talked about this yesterday. Dua is beautiful. If you have any problems at home, make dua. Even if you're not having problems, make dua for each other. Like that's huge. You have to carve time in your daily life to make dua for each other because whatever happens to them, it's gonna have to come back to you anyway. So it's beautiful to make dua for each other. I would say even make dua for each other more than you make dua for yourself if you can. Yeah. because anyways, there's an angel that's gonna say Ameen, right?
Yeah.
And for you the same. Don't talk about how amazing. Oh yeah, this is very important. Don't women do this sometimes. They talk about how amazing their friends are, and they'll go further describing like my friend. Like let's say you have a friend Asma, and you start telling Hashim about how beautiful she is, and like she has this and she does that, and this is not recommended, because now you're putting all that stuff in his mind. Like he doesn't need that in his head. You know what I mean? Next time he sees her, you're already you know what I mean? Like you're starting something that you don't want it to be there. So it's very important.
There's a hadith about it. You shared 3 days ago.
It's a hadith. I can't remember the exact wording, but it's like the hadith is like an advice to women to not like describe the physical body parts of another woman.
Subhanallah. See, I didn't even know this hadith. Like this is like beautiful. Everything is there, right? So that is something beautiful to do. And same thing the other way around. And also like for men, maybe not to describe like, oh, this guy's wife is amazing. Like she does this, right? Like, what are you trying to say? That I'm not amazing? Like, exactly.
You're starting a problem with your wife and the husband of the
exactly. Oh, yeah. Like
you're in deep trouble now.
So that was beautiful advice that I thought. Learn your spouse's hot buttons and don't do them. Like avoid those hot buttons. Like they don't like it when you put your shoes in this area. Like just fix that problem. Like they don't like it. So the stronger both of us bind for the sake of Allah, the stronger the relationship. So whenever you make it about Allah, the stronger the relationship is going to be. And also if you do things together, like pray qiyam together, make tasbih together, go for walks and reflect together.
It says keep praying together.
I'm said in the comments, keep praying together, definitely, and to not compare your partner with anyone else, definitely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's something that ladies are guilty of most of the times. They always try to compare their marriage to someone else. Like I said before, it's either like this couple you're seeing on social media or this couple you're seeing in life and you think they're doing so well. You don't know. I
have no idea.
Most of the time, it's not really.
It's not true. Yeah,
you see it.
The grass is always greener on the other side until you go to the other side and you discover actually it's not that green.
Yeah.
And then and remember your duties before your rights. That's another advice. And then even a text message saying "I love you" goes a long way, right? So saying the words "I love you," hugs, a lot of those just deposits, daily deposits of "I love you," a kiss in the cheek or whatever. Like just that hugs, right? Mutual worship, we talked about that already. And then keep your happiness in your own hands. That's something important too. Is not your happiness is in the happiness of your partner, right? Like you are in control of your happiness. Your partner might be going through a tough time, right? Should affect how happy you should be. You should feel for them, you should help them, but don't try to make their happiness to be your happiness.
It's kind of hard,
right? It is, because I know it is hard. It's very hard, and if you think about it, if you have a strong one-on-one with Allah, it becomes easier, because the goal is to make Allah happy, right? Like that's the actual goal. So who cares? Like even your own partner. Actually, there's a verse that your spouses could be your enemy, not your enemy, but you're like at odds with you, right? In the sight of Allah. So we need to also make sure like that's the case, is that you become in control of who you are, and don't let other people, even including your own spouse, to affect how you become, right? So and that goes with tazkiyah, with spending time with Allah alone, understanding that your husband or your wife is a gift from Allah, and that He can take them anytime too. Right. Like that's another thing that you have to prepare for as well. And then another one, it says for men, PMS obviously is a thing. Women go through the monthly cycle, and sometimes, so for some women it's a very emotional time. So you have to be aware of that as a man, and to be considerate during those days.
So many things that you wouldn't know until you get married, and then it just kind of slaps you in the face.
I mean, I don't have.
He doesn't have sisters.
I don't have sisters, so like.
Oh, you had no idea, right?
I had
so many things.
I know what it is. I just don't know like how it is, and then like to see that for the first time, it's like wow. Like, and to be honest, like, I mean, like the first time I realized how difficult that could be for a sister, like I felt such a frustration of like how like how men treat women, whether it's mothers or
Yeah.
sisters or wives. Like, how could you treat a woman so bad when she has to go through this every day? You know, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like it's yeah, it's definitely one of those things that subhanallah, like it's just you know, and even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made the women don't have to pray and they don't have to fast because it's such an intense thing that he's
Yeah.
giving them. Like this is the purpose of life, is to pray and to fast and he's saying no, during that period you take a time
And
off.
that's one thing that I just want to say quickly.
Yeah,
Allah said not to fast during those days for a reason. And I know like so many sisters would just like kind of hide that in a way like no, like she's fasting just like everyone else because she doesn't want to eat in public or she doesn't want to drink water while someone else is around. And that's like the completely wrong idea because, you know, you have that license for a reason because your body really needs water that time, like lots and lots of
water.
And if
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
just because you live in a house full of boys or you're around guys at all times or even out in public, doesn't mean that that's should be a reason for you to just be fasting just like the rest of them.
Right.
Yeah.
While clearly Allah said not to fast during those days, and you know, they just should be better with that.
No, I totally agree. It's a cultural thing again, right?
Real quickly, so we got like 3 minutes left of this video.
So I guess we're not doing question and answers.
I can keep going. I don't know if people.
I think 2 hours is more than enough, man. I think that's plenty. We can
and if
maybe
anything,
do more.
If anything, we can do like a different day. Like
Yeah. We can probably do a
continuation
different
of the
day.
same
Just,
topic.
we can just do questions and answers depending. If anybody's interested in doing more of these, send me a message on 70 Things I Learned, or send even Hashim or Selma and just let us know. And if you have any questions, send us your questions, and then we'll maybe do another session where we just talk about your questions. We apologize we did not cover your questions, but it's such an interesting topic and beautiful conversation with you guys. I mean, I had a blast, man. That was awesome. And I love your family, and I think that was this is great. This is really cool. So let's do more of these, and we can talk about different things too if you guys want in the future. Let's do more of these, inshallah.
Just I know there was the 1 minute video, and I've been trying to do that. It's just so hard for me to talk for only 1 minute. So this is way better for me because I can talk for hours. But the one I tried, but it's really hard for me.
No problem. We'll work with you until you're ready, inshallah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, man. Thank you guys for joining us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this conversation and to guide you to pick the right partner if you're not married, and to guide you to give you a significant other that you love and they love you and you love them and you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together, and you go on this ride together to Jannah, inshallah, and give you offspring that they're amazing and righteous. And if you're struggling in your marriage, we ask Allah to make it easy for you, and we'll make dua for you. I'll personally make dua for you. Anybody who's struggling in their marriage, I ask Allah to bless your spouse and to make you see eye to eye and to increase the love in the house. So one dua that I make all the time is Allahumma ja'alni min ladina hum khayruhum li ahli kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam khayrukum li ahli wa ana khayrukum li ahli. Like, Ya Allah, make me from the people that are best to their family, like the Prophet said, the best amongst you is the best to their family. So I ask Allah this all the time. I also make dua for my spouse and for my kids. So make dua. Dua is a huge thing. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sahbihi sallam ajma'een. Jazakumullah khair. And have a great rest of Sunday or evening, I guess, if you're in the evening. Have a great week. And inshallah, we'll try to do more of these and send us your messages, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.
Until next time.
Peace.